Kelly Oubre is solidly in the sixth man of the year conversation. I don't know if he's going to win. Tyler Hero looks to be the favorite for that award. But Kelly has been very good, and even certainly offensively, the guy has been a microwave. 46% from the field this year, 38% from three. Those are numbers that are either right at his career high or even soaring pretty far above what he previously put as his career high in stops with Phoenix, Washington, and Golden State as well. And we talked all about what Kelly's been able to do, certainly in that game against Detroit. It was awesome to see. But I want to talk a little bit about what he discussed in media availability when he was signed. He was wearing the Quarantine University sweatshirt, talking with media here, and kind of discussing and even alluding to things not being great for him in Golden State. And that's not a surprise. We saw the historically bad start shooting from three-point land where it was just god-awful. The guy made like one, and I don't even know how many attempts. It was really brutal. We know that he kind of wanted to start, but wasn't, and things just didn't go well for him in Golden State. And then immediately, even just spending a little time with Terry Rozier during the Miami trip, just kind of talking about different times spent with Charlotte Hornets here, already being a part of the family. I think you're seeing a happy Kelly Oubre, and I think it's because he's feeling good. He's also playing better too. And, that's like, there's nothing I can point to and say, because he's feeling a lot better, he's playing a lot better. But we do know that he's really stressed how happy he is here. And he's, not necessarily let it be a secret how things weren't working out for him in Golden State. And now we're seeing a career year from him, shooting very well from the field. You like to see Kelly happy and also see the benefits of that on the court. And you certainly saw that against Detroit.
When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. And
well, Kelly looks good, man. The hair is flowing. Big Ubi.
He's the swag lord. So we know Ubi knows what he's doing in that department. And look, this is the perfect role for him. And to his credit, he has shot the ball a lot better than he has in other stops, where I think other teams like Golden State and like Phoenix were depending on him for better shooting than he could provide in those previous seasons. And for whatever reason, maybe it was something that he did in the offseason, or maybe he just loves the rims at Spectrum Center, although they haven't played there as much in the first half of the season. Whatever it is, he is shooting the ball a lot better than he has in the rest of his career, and that's been a huge boon for the Charlotte Hornets, who are one of the best shooting teams in the NBA.
Well, and it's really all because of his three-point shooting. If you look at Kelly's stats, overall field goal percentage, he's not shooting a ton better, right? He did shoot 45% in a couple of years with Phoenix, but the three-point shooting, the best he ever shot was 35 on 5.5 per game. Now he's shooting 38 on 7.7 attempts per game, and the effective field goal percentage is at 57% right now. What's interesting, I kind of talked about that same theory I just discussed. If you're feeling a lot better, then you're also going to shoot better. Josh Lloyd of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast, he kind of talked about that more so at the charity stripe. And when we discussed the Hornets preview at the beginning of the season, he expected Kelly to shoot better with Charlotte from the charity stripe, and that actually hasn't been true. He's actually shooting pretty poorly when he goes to the foul line. 66.7% compared to 69.5% that he shot last year with Golden State, and that was the worst he shot from the foul line since his rookie year when he was shooting 63. So this is the second worst he's ever shot now as an established NBA player. So it's kind of interesting there. Still getting to the line not many times. It's actually a full attempt below what he did last season, but I thought that was interesting. Foul shooting not nearly as good, but everything else considerably better.
I think we got a quick calling it the charity stripe then. Call it the tax stripe.
Mm-hmm.
Not the charity stripe. Charity stripe.
I think there are plenty of players you can call that. Yeah, there are plenty of players you can do that with. Yeah, and so we'll see what Kelly can continue to do. But, he's been very good in the first half of the season so far and has really helped the Charlotte Hornets team win games.
So that's interesting that you shared that. Thank you for sharing. This third segment really is going to be a sharing segment because I ran into some stuff that I'd like to share as well. I was digging into the tracking numbers, and let's see if I can actually share this on the screen. I want to make sure I share the right one.
Oh, you really want to share?
That's what you want to actually share. So let's share this. So these are the defensive field goal percentage numbers for the Charlotte Hornets this year. You can see Miles Bridges comes in at 58%. Mason Plumlee, 62%. JT Thor in limited minutes, 63%. Jalen McDaniel, 63.8%. Okay, on down the line. LaMelo Ball comes in, by the way, at 65.5% defensive field goal percentage. One way, I don't know how much stock people put in this, but it's one way to measure defensive impact. All right, I have another team pulled up here. I'm not going to put it on the screen because I want you, listener or viewer, and Walker, I would like you as well to guess and see what team you think this is. So I'm going to give you not the player name, but their position, and then where they are defensive field goal. So remember what I just said. Miles Plumlee, 58. Mason Plumlee, 62. Nick Richards, 65. LaMelo Ball, 65. PJ Washington, 67. Okay? Now I'm going to go to this mystery team, and the mystery team has a center that plays about 33 minutes, defensive field goal percentage, 50.5. They have a power forward that plays about 21 minutes, so a bench player. Only played in 15 games this season, but 51% defensive field goal percentage. Then they have another forward that starts 33.7 minutes per game that has 51.8. So 50, 51, 51.8. You've got starting forwards, you've got key bench players, and your starting center all under 52% defensive field goal percentage. What team do you think that is?
I mean, Philadelphia is worse defensively without Ben Simmons on the floor. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Celtics aren't great. Chicago is not great defensively. They're offensively very good. Mm-hmm. I mean, is it Philadelphia anyway? You didn't mention the point guard. I'll go 76ers.
Unfortunately, it's not Philadelphia. It's a good guess, but it's not Philadelphia. The mystery team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Those
makes
players
sense. Makes a ton of sense.
They're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA this season. Those players that I mentioned, Jarrett Allen coming in at 50.5, Kevin Love, 51, Evan Mobley, 51.8. If you look at their guards, Darius Garland has a defensive field goal percentage of 82.1%. They're making them against Garland way more than they're missing them. Ricky Rubio, 78%, okay? So actually, comparatively, LaMelo Ball's defensive field goal percentage is really, really good compared to those two guards. But I say all of this to sort of discount this idea in my mind. I've heard this thing. It's like, well, if they add a defensive center, it doesn't necessarily make them better defensively. Yes, it does. Because right now, your forwards and center play have just been atrocious when it comes to defensive field goal percentage. You can't. So the best defensive player on the team is Miles Bridges at 58. So, that's my point there.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I don't know if that alludes to anything I said about transition defense. I think it would help. I don't think it's a necessity to help with their transition defense. Their overall defense, absolutely. I mean, you get anybody like that. I don't know how you try to argue that. They absolutely need somebody at that 5 spot to improve their overall defense, and it would help this team's overall expectations. Like you talk about, look, you want to get to that 3 spot, Doug, then you need the Hornets to make a move and get that center in order for you to attain that goal.
And I think, they have Jarrett Allen, and I think that kind of defensive presence would cascade down. You would see Miles, and you would see Jalen, and you would see PJ. All of those defensive field goal percentages would suddenly start to, ascend towards that 52% mark. One more thing before we go that I thought was really interesting. So I looked at that 65.5% defensive field goal percentage number for LaMelo Ball, and I said, hey, that's pretty good. I wonder what it looks like when they win a basketball game. So I ran that number as well. I'll throw that up on the screen. It drops from 65.5% to 58.6%. And in fact, LaMelo Ball, of the major rotation players in Charlotte Hornets victories, is the 3rd best defensive player according to defensive field goal percentage, if that's the only metric that you're using. 58.
Well, let's go with that one then. Let's go.
Let's use the one that I'm using right now so that I seem right. That's what I would like to do. But that's interesting, right? It drops significantly. When LaMelo Ball locks in on defense, this team plays a lot better. And Terry Rozier, comparatively in those victories, is around the same that he normally is, which is around 75, which is still honestly better than the guards on Cleveland, which are a great defensive team.
Well, yeah, and Cleveland. That's the thing, though. Like once you say it, Jared Allen, awesome. Evan Mobley, immediately excellent at defense. Isaac Okoro was a defensive player they drafted in the first round. Before that, so you have a lot of really good defensive-minded players on that Cleveland Cavaliers team, and that's how I think they're able to ascend the way they have with some talented players on that roster. Darius is coming out party offensively for sure as well. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks so much for joining us on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Now make sure you make Locked On Bets your second listen daily. It's your one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday to recap the Milwaukee Bucks game on that Saturday night.